At this time, I'll open the Highway Department bid opening for community crossing. It looks like we've received 4. Go ahead and distribute these. First, if you have one that you're ready to start with.
Yes, I have one from Niblock Excavating for 11 road segments for $1,090,348.
I have one from Fend and Brown Incorporated. Looks like grand total is $1,320,724.
And I'm trying to find the,
And I also have one from First Brooks Construction Company, $1,100,446. $1,120,446.
I'm trying to find the total for this. Is there a total in there? Can't find it. So see attached, but I don't see where it's.
There's a representative from E&D Payroll here. Did you have a total that you submitted for the entire project, or is everything you said in segments?
Yeah.
I don't see any tool, it's all in segments. Look at that, it's not in there. And these are just the.
Yeah, I don't see anywhere that the total is written on this. It says see attached, and then there's
Yeah, there's nothing.
just the segments.
Drug testing.
Do you have anyone that you can call to get that total?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, there's no total on there.
He's calling to get one for us.
Did they bid everything or not?
It's 1,164,317.50.
Thank you.
Sorry about that.
So that's $1,164,317.50.
Correct.
Thank you.
So that's, those are the four that we've received.
I'd make a motion that we take these under advisement and have our director go over these and see the best.
Second?
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. And that passes unanimously. This time we'll close the Highway Department bid opening process for community crossings and move into our regular agenda, starting with the attorney, Matt Shipman.
I don't have anything to report this afternoon.
Okay, thank you. The next item on the agenda is the American United Life. We've had some discussion on this. Some changes need to be made for those employees who contribute to the investment. And we have a few options that were provided to us. Essentially what's happening is they'll no longer allow for a fixed rate. It will be a variable rate. I reviewed those. I feel really comfortable with option one because it allows for the investments to continue. For those, there's very few who invest, but for those who do invest, they've expressed an interest in continuing, and option one would allow them to continue to make those investments.
Yeah, so option one, just to go through this quickly, stop all contributions and investments transferred to AUL fixed interest account and redirect future investment elections to another investment option available under your group annuity contract. Option two, liquidate the AUL fixed interest account and transfer participant account balances invested in the AUL fixed interest account to the AUL staple account. Or reject both options one and two and cancel the contract. So I would make a motion that we go with option one. after looking over all three
So
options.
do we have to make a decision whether it be 1A, 1B, or 1C?
Is that page 2, George?
No, that's, yeah,
Or is it-
page 2.
Yeah, so that's my copy there, but so this First America will continue to manage it, and Jennifer is here, correct me if I'm wrong, but 1A allows for the contributions to continue. They continue to manage instead of them having to go find a financial advisor and manage it outside. So my recommendation would be 1A.
I'll amend my motion for 1A.
I'll second that.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. And that also passes unanimously. Next item on the agenda is Scott Smith, the County Coroner.
Hi Scott, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good.
I'm coming before you to request a vehicle for our coroner's office. It's going to be a combination unit of transporting all our equipment in one vehicle and also have the capabilities of transporting the deceased human to the forensic center. There are certain cases that we as deputy coroners have to maintain chain of custody, and that'd be in our homicide cases, and also unknown deaths. The other times we've been using a transport service this year. Backing up, my dad has done the transport since 1960 for this county at no cost. And Dad's at the age where he can't maintain or do the transports anymore. The funeral homes are taking a lot of time to get to the scene. We've waited, well, you had one right here in the building that was close to 4 hours before they're getting there. Where if we had a vehicle, we could have taken them to a holding facility right away instead of waiting one person lay here in the government center that long. I've checked out with other counties, and Kosciuszko has 3 vans that they pay people to do transports, which they use the forensic center in Fort Wayne. Noble County has 1 van that they pay people to drive for them to the forensic center. Huntington this time has 1 van and a van on order, and Wabash has 2 vans. Our numbers are going up. I've had a really busy weekend this weekend with Randy cutting his hand this weekend, so it's been me because our other deputy is at work. And of course, the health department can tell you our fetal demises are on the rise here in our county, not our county's problem, but it seems like most of them are coming out of Kosciuszko County, which we're fortunate enough to be able to backbill Kosciuszko County for our autopsies and stuff. But right now we're transporting thousands of dollars of equipment in our personal vehicles. And I'd like to get everything under. I've done research. Unfortunately, I started this a year ago and the prices all went up about 38%. So, and I think you guys got my proposal. The reason why I went with this is it seemed to be the most economical, which it's the same vehicle that They use the squad cars at the sheriff's department. I have told the vendors that I prefer a V6 over a V8 because we don't need to be running hard to any scene or anything. But this company and another company are converting the Durangos for transport, and they're both at about the same price range. And they have everything as far as what OSHA requires, the screen between the driver and the passenger compartment. It has the capabilities of holding our equipment in the side doors. I've seen this personally this past week, and I was more impressed than what the pictures were because I didn't think there was going to be that much room in there, but there really is more room than what the pictures show. We can maintain our body bags, our camera equipment, and any other electronic equipment in it. Then the initial price that I got for the conversion is they divided it up, which 25,000 for the conversion and 26,000 for the conversion is about standard all the way across. Even when I called for prices on Suburbans and Expeditions and a transit van, the quote I got back on the transit van, which I haven't got to yet, is 96,000. So I think, you know, I really think this would work for us, and we could utilize it probably about 49 to 96 times a year. Is, you know, every year is different. Unfortunately, since I've taken back over as coroner from Randy, our call volume has almost doubled, if not more. So we're running, well, like I said, this weekend I ran my wheels off. The reason why I'm reluctant on using a transport service is we lose custody of the individual. And unfortunately, Steuben, LaGrange, even Allen County have all had trouble with transport services. In fact, Allen County just, you can look it up, they just settled a suit because the transport service removed diamond rings and they end up getting thrown away. So, you know, I personally, I know Randy's a little different because Randy, when he works a scene, he doesn't want to have to drive to Fort Wade. To me, it doesn't matter. You know. So.
I definitely think it's a need. I mean, we have to transport those that have passed away within the county. I mean, there's absolutely no choice. So,
The other thing is since, as I sent a note to you from the Forensic Center, since they opened up the new one, I think you guys all got a copy of that. They're not going to hold decomp bodies, and so far we've had 7 decomps that were basically in and outs, and it's 38 miles to Huntington to the cooler that we're contracted with right now from the Forensic Center. So, you know, and that's something else we're going to have to address because the state statute's pretty clear. We're supposed to have a holding facility, you know.
Where do you plan on storing the car then?
At this time, I'm going to keep it at the sheriff's department. It's not going to be used for any personal uses or, you know, it's strictly official business. You know, to the scene, to the Forensic Center. Usually the next day after we transport, we do go to the autopsies, which the pathologist requires us so that we can brief him on what we've seen at the scene, what we observed, what we've gathered. And then we take our own pictures at the autopsy. So
it will be parked at the sheriff's department just for you and your deputies to go and then park your car and then use it as needed. Okay. Well, I have no problem with it. It's a need. So I don't know how my other two commissioners feel, but
I'd make a motion that we approve the $69,085 for the complete package for the Dodge Durango for the coroner's office.
that'd be a favorable pass to council.
I believe we can make this purchase from CETA. Is that correct,
Yes.
Commissioner Schrumpf? Is that where you'd like to specify? in the
Yeah, I'd like to specify that we take it out of seated, out of onsite, offsite.
I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to purchase the vehicle from on-site, off-site from the CETA budget. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. And oppose the same, and that passes unanimously. Move forward,
Any other questions you have for me at this time?
not this time.
Thank you for your service. I could
Thanks,
never do what you do.
Well, you know, I
Ever.
have had 8 people interview for the deputy position, and you have to get through an autopsy, and I've lost all 8 of them when they went to the autopsy. So I hope someday someone will step up to the plate and join in with this. Right?
I
Thanks,
hope you
Scott.
don't mean
Is that
me.
what you're gonna run for next?
Next item on the agenda is Nathan Bilger with a plat approval. It doesn't look like Nathan's with us, but we have the next best thing. Like,
I will be Brent Bockelman today, representing the Planning and Building Department. We have got a plat for Hitzman Estates, Section 2. I believe you've already received information on it. It was approved in the May planning meeting. Got any questions for me on this plat?
no, I think we've all had a chance to review this. It's been in our packet, so appreciate you being available for questions, maybe on the next thing, but not this one.
No worries.
I'll make a motion that we approve the request as presented.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. And that also passes unanimously. So while we're signing, I heard from Nathan on Thursday about a rezoning request that was approved on Wednesday
Mhm.
at the Plan Commission, and there was a request to have that added to the agenda.
Yes.
Over the weekend, I heard from someone, and by that time, it was a little bit too late to have that added to the agenda, but as you know, agendas are subject to change without notice. And we have had in our possession since Thursday that rezoning request information and are prepared to move forward with that. Are you prepared to speak to it?
Absolutely. I would appreciate that, actually. Okay. In the information that you guys had received in regards to the rezoning, it was a rezoning down at the, on State Road 14. It is a rezoning from RR, I'm going to say back to BC. So it's a village commercial area that was changed to residential from the owner's want or desire to live there, refurbish the home, the historic home, and live there. So the new proposed owner is looking at it being rezoned back to BC to help support the business that is already been approved through the BZA for a special exception for the banquet hall. So it's really reverting back to what it originally was versus a true, what I would classify as a true rezone.
Yeah, and we have the records from Wednesday night. It looks like it passed unanimously with
Yeah.
all members present.
Yep, was all
I think there was one member absent, but everyone there voted in favor.
correct.
So this would be an ordinance, and I don't know if you have an ordinance number available.
I'll make a motion that we approve ordinance 2022-08.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. Opposed, the same. So you probably don't have the legal copy to sign. I just have a printer copy,
Okay.
but we can be available after the meeting to sign. Yep. And we appreciate Mr. Kelty being here to answer any questions. We appreciate you being here as well, but we had the information since Thursday and we're very familiar. So, yep, thank you.
Thank you.
As staff, I would like to thank you for doing that as well. Appreciate that.
It's
Thank you.
not standard procedure, but in this case, it was appropriate.
Thank you for running any questions. Any questions for me then?
Thank you.
Thank you guys.
The next item is project approvals. It has Mark Sturtevant listed, but Mark is out on vacation this week. Kyle is here. I'll ask Kyle to come forward, but I'll do my best to speak to it. Mark and I had met multiple times. We opened up bids for the approach to the highway department. Katie can speak to this as well, but we've had a terrible time with drainage around our offices of our highway department. Multiple times it's taken on water. And so it just came to the point where we have to take care of our buildings. We have to do something about this. So I know that there were multiple responses to the to this. I know that Mark put it out to multiple places and vetted out these bids. And in this case, Wygent did have the best proposal because they will divert water. So on the third page of Wygent's proposal, there's a map. So in their proposal, it would provide a secondary overflow. And I believe it was lowest cost and best proposal.
Yep, that's correct.
We can just move forward. We'll go through what we have and then we'll come back to it and find out how we'd like to move forward. As you all know, being on the Solid Waste District Board, it's been over a year that it was first brought to our attention that the cement pad to the north of that building is in disrepair. I mean, it's pretty bad. Safety risk for public who are getting out and putting things into those trash bins or whatever you want to call them. And being that they pay rent to the county for a county-owned facility, we feel that it's most appropriate for the county to repair that pad. There were also a couple, there was one who didn't respond, who this went out to that just they weren't even interested. They were too full. But of those who did respond, Hilti's Construction had by far the best proposal to get that done. And lastly, as you know, there's been conversation about the building that we own, the Marshall building, the Thomas R. Marshall building that is our museum. And it's another case where we own the building and we really are responsible for caring for that building and maintaining it. So there's many things that are needed there that have been neglected for years. But I think most important, Kyle, is getting Atlas approved because Atlas will be working on our courthouse and they've agreed to go directly to the museum when they complete the courthouse program.
Correct.
So, our hope is that we can approve that, but also there's many other things that need to happen. The paint on that building, it's been painted multiple times in the last decade and it just chips, it won't last. So Danny Tittman from the museum vetted out Rhino Shield. Is that right?
Yep,
Rhino Shield. she met with multiple people, but they have a 25-year guarantee.
Yep.
That it will not chip, or they will repair for free, which is far better than what we're doing now. We can throw paint on every couple of years, but the fascia is rotting because the paint hasn't held up and water gets behind it. And
Is that because we have to use a special kind because it's?
it was a
Historic
lead-based paint, right,
Okay.
before,
Yes.
and they've scraped it before, but for whatever reason, the paint chips that they use now.
Yep.
And Rhino Shield guarantees that it won't.
I think all we did was encapsulate the leaded paint before.
Right.
And really need to do something like this.
We've been putting Band-Aids on it for a while
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Right. So there's a lot of things that are needed. And of course one thing has to happen before you can move on to the next. And it won't be done this year. There's a lot of things that can be done this year, but the end project would be the Rhino Shield, and there's no way we can be ready for that this season. So, however, we would like to get it approved so that Mark can move forward with getting these things done.
One more thing in addition to that, there is some wood that would need replaced on that building also. I would kind of push that up on the urgency as well, because we can't paint the building until that starts to get fixed. So we would need to push that up a little as well.
And we have everything in front of us. We know what's being asked. So I think that some of this we can approve, that we can fund. And I don't know where it's most appropriate to fund from, but and maybe it'll be multiple sources for financing. Maybe there's a building fund that we can tap into and CEDA that we can tap into, and but that'll be up to, I think this will be a joint venture with council too, because a lot of this money's not been allocated and we'll need to make those requests to them. But I think some of this we can approve to move forward, especially getting Atlas there.
So we're looking at a total of $223,474.
That'd be for the full home exterior
Or the
project for the
museum.
Marshall building. And Kyle, correct me if I'm wrong, but those lines with budget in parentheses, that's already been budgeted.
No, we just threw a budget number in there because we don't have narrowed down pricing on that. So
Oh,
we just
sure,
threw a
okay.
rough number at it. So you guys have an idea of how much it would
Got it.
cost.
And that home has a lot of historical significance, obviously, for Whitley County as a whole. And I'd hate it if we didn't preserve it.
Oh, yeah. I definitely think it's our responsibility.
And this is one of those projects that we put off and
Right.
and now it's getting to the point where we have to do something.
So Commissioner Banks, you mentioned that some of these would get done, but not all of them. So are you looking for a motion to approve the entire 223,000 or?
If we had those funds available, but they're not allocated, so council's gonna have to approve this as well. So I think it might be most appropriate to approve with a favorable pass, and then we'll work with the auditor's office and figure out how we can fund these and propose it to council at maybe their next meeting.
I'll make a motion for a favorable pass to council.
And would that be for the Marshall Home Exterior project, or would that be for all of these projects?
All of them.
Total for all the projects, I do have that number for you guys. It's $297,729. Just shy of 300,000.
So I guess what we're saying with our motion is that we're committed to coming alongside you and finding any funding available, but we're also bound to council's approval as well.
Understandable.
So I have a motion.
Yes.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. And that passes unanimously. So I think that's all we have, but you have a commitment that the commissioners are in favor. We'll fund anything that we can that's been allocated, and we'll go to council for the rest.
Sounds good. Any other questions?
I don't think so.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
The next item on the agenda is the Plan Commission Board appointment. There's been a lot of interest. We've been very pleased with the number of people who've had interest in this. So I believe we're ready for a motion. I think somebody's been identified who would be a great candidate.
Yes, so Nikki Venable contacted all of us, and I would like to make a motion that we appoint her to our Whitley County Plan Commission.
I'd second that.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. And that also passes unanimously. Next up is the covered bridge certificate. Is there anyone here to speak to that?
Since there is no covered bridges, I don't know that there's much to speak of. It's just, we do this certification, I think, every year and recertify that we didn't have any and don't have any. We just have to certify it to the state, so.
Okay. So is there anything that needs approved, or do we just?
No, I think you just have to, I mean, I would do it in a formal motion, have somebody make a motion to prove that we don't have any and it looks like it's set up for all three of your signatures. I guess Katie could maybe speak to that on behalf of the highway department, but.
Well, if we have none, I don't know if there's anything to speak.
There's not really anything,
So,
yeah,
Probably
I'll
the
make
the
a
same thing we've
motion.
done for
Yeah.
years.
Okay, I'll make a
require us
motion
to
that we approve the covered bridge and certification.
Second.
have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. And do you have a copy that you want us to sign, or does it matter which copy?
It doesn't
It looks like it just gets emailed in anyway, so it's not.
While we're signing, at our last meeting, we discussed the small structure inspections, small structure bridge inspections. I appreciate Beth Johnson from USI being here. Katie, you're here as well. Would either of you be willing to speak to this just to give everyone a refresher so that we can move forward with the authorization to proceed?
If you have any questions specifically about the authorization to proceed, that would be more suitable to answer. I'm sure she'd be more than happy to step up. But we have 290 what are considered small structures in Whitley County. We do need to have those inspected every 8 years, and the last inspection was completed in 2014. So it's just due for us to have those inspections done. Small structures specifically are 36 inches up to 19 feet, and then anything beyond 19 feet is considered a bridge. Anything below 36 inches is considered a culvert. So we do have funding available in our Cume Bridge culvert line item to be able to complete all of the small structure inspections with the load ratings. And then we would also receive what is called IV, which is a program that all of our information would be inputted into. We'd also have a file for our GIS that would be able to be imported so we can have all that stuff compatible with the technology that we already use. But it would have any recommendations, whether or not something needs immediately addressed, anything that would need to be maintenance or safety related, photos, locations, coordinates, all that kind of stuff as far as where they are. But that would have, I believe that they said that they would be able to start that in, I think, October, and then be completed by the end of the year. Is that correct? And then in 2023, we would then have the funding that we proposed with our budget for next year to be able to address any concerns that would come up in the inspection.
Well, I know we've discussed this on more than one occasion, so I will go ahead and make a motion for your request for the authorization to proceed on the small structure inspections.
Yeah, USI has done a great job for us, and I'd second that motion.
I have a motion and a second. I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. And opposed, the same. This form does require just one signature, so we'll sign now. I'll give this to you, and then you can distribute back to them. That's it, Katie. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank
Thanks,
you.
Katie.
Next item on the agenda is payroll and accounts payable claims approval.
I went up to the auditor's office and looked over payroll and accounts payable. Payroll looked fine. I went through accounts payable, and the only thing that I had a question on was there was a conference in Florida, and that was not approved by the commissioners. And in our policy handbook, I'll just go ahead and read it. Airline travel and rental car costs must be approved in advance by the department supervisor and one of the county commissioners. If approved, the employee or official traveling will not be reimbursed for any cost over and above a coach class seat and the taxes incurred for that seat. So typically, any conferences or any traveling out of state, obviously there's a lot higher of a cost, and we like to know what's going on with that. So obviously this conference in Florida was pretty expensive, very expensive. So just as a reminder, any out of state travel has got to come before the commissioners, and we would like it done in a public meeting. So it's transparent with all of our constituents.
I agree.
I'll make a motion to approve payroll.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by raising your right hand.
And I will also make a motion to approve accounts payable.
I'll second accounts
I have a
payable.
motion and a second for accounts payable. Call for the vote. All those in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. Those pass unanimously. Next item on the agenda is our previous meeting minutes approval. Has everyone had a chance to review our minutes?
I'll make a motion that we approve the June 6, 2022 commissioner minutes.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. And that passes unanimously. And while we're signing, is there anything that you'd like to add, Matt?
Don't have anything additional.
Auditor's office? Anything from the public that anyone would like to add for the meeting today? Hearing none. Commissioner Schrumpf?
I do have something. I think everybody's aware of the ratio that we had Monday night, and there's been a lot of damage to the houses out, especially at the lake areas, and Churubusco got some damage also. But we've had our highway department has been doing a lot of work clearing debris and working and getting trees safe. And we've also had Justin's tree services, and Justin is here, has been doing a great job for us out there. But I think Justin has a proposal for us. And so Justin, if you want to come forward and.
Yes, sir. Thank you. And my name is Justin, but we are working with the local tree service, which is on-site tree service, Jake McDonald. And I specialize in coordinating disaster relief teams for communities all around the country when they have situations like this. I specialize particularly in insurance billing so that we're not charging the homeowners any money while we're here working. And that's how we ended up in this setting. We presently have 9 crews here and close to 100 people from about half a dozen, about a dozen states, I believe. We have the equipment and the capability to remove these trees that are leaning over the roadways and things like that that are causing public safety issues. Also the material that's obviously all on the side of the road. So I would just like to ask you guys what we could potentially do to help.
So that's going to, obviously it is an issue, and right now we're trying to figure out where to even put the debris because we're running out of room. But that would, obviously this happened and it couldn't have been planned for. So we don't have any funds in the budget for it. So a lot of it's going to come down to cost and what you can provide
Absolutely.
for that.
Absolutely.
So we would need some type of proposal on fees.
Of course, yes. I mean, have that to where we can provide you guys with a daily rate for our equipment. Obviously, we've had an opportunity to assess the situation and see what will be most appropriate to be used, both safety and, a value for the service. Equipment wise, it's already here. There's no, transport or anything like that. We have that prepared. The thing that I would need to have a better understanding of is what kind of mileage we're looking at as far as affected areas and things like that. Obviously, I can see a map of the area. I can see that 75% of the service that we've provided has been within this county. So I have a pretty good idea of what's going on around the lakes and whatnot. But I just need a little bit better idea if there's somebody maybe with a road commissioner or something like that that can show me what needs to be done so that I have an idea. I would be better able to present, because at this point I know what our rates would be, but I don't know what the volume of service that you guys would need is. If that makes sense.
And so your service would be able to just completely remove all the tree debris
Yes.
that people have piled up in the right of way,
Yes, sir.
right?
Now, we're capable of both moving that material, which you guys, highway department's been doing a great job. Where we're highly specialized is all of our cranes are remote controlled, and they have a grapple that will grab and cut the material. And this is all done by a remote. So 0 chance of anyone being electrocuted where we're dealing with power lines, 0 chance of somebody having material falling and killing, and the civil value of it is huge. And the efficiency level is very high in that setting too, because, for example, I have the largest grapple saw crane in the world here in town right now. I can reach 170 feet. So I can go up and over the power lines and grab the tree that's about to fall and wipe out whatever, and I can do it all remote control with 0 risk to personnel. And so that's where we're going to have the highest value of service. When it comes to hauling the debris, absolutely we're capable of doing that. And it does make sense at times to coordinate those two efforts because we can pull the material down, that's a hazard, while also moving the material at the same time. And then we're kind of doubling up the use of the equipment in that spot. So I don't know if I answered that question thoroughly, but moving the material, yes, we can. The highest value of service that we can provide is in the removal of hazards to the public.
I think our biggest concern right now is we have a road plan, and the highway department has been fantastic. They've been really good about being out there and cleaning up debris. I think what we're really looking for right now is for someone to come through and remove the debris that's been placed in the right of way. It's not, the service that we're providing is not a normal service. It's not something that our county highway or any part of our county would have done. So we understand, we recognize the significance of this storm and the sheer damage. And we haven't had a storm anywhere near this since 2012. And I think we just weren't fully prepared. And I would bet that even in 2012.
Our 26 days last year, this is rough.
Yeah.
This is rough out here. This is not a mid-grade event. This is high
Right.
on the list of what we see. So
Yeah.
you guys are doing a good job. Moving the debris, we can absolutely do that. You guys are currently working with smaller dump trucks. We use trucks that have a grapple arm that load themselves. Those trucks usually are around 70 cubic yard capacity, whereas I think you guys' dump trucks are probably about 10% of that. So as far as being able to move the material in an efficient way, in a timely manner, we can make 10 trips to one with our units.
Where would you take it? What would you do with it?
So that's what we're gonna have to discuss with you guys. Now, we can bring in horizontal grinders and we can bring in tub grinders and mulch the material, and the material can be, potentially resourced or what have you. That's where we're gonna have to get into some of the fine details of it. For the time being, usually the best thing to do is to find a DMS or a staging site where we can set the material, and then from there determine, is it going to be best for us to grind and bury? Is it going to be best for us to burn it, to put it into a incinerator? What's going to be the most efficient way to do it? Sometimes we can bring in air incinerators that produce power and burning this material, and that's beneficial. It just depends on whether or not we'd be able to tie into a grid and doing that. So there's some variables in place there. For us in the hauling aspect of it, it doesn't change anything as far as what it costs for us to do it, but we would be happy to be a resource and consult with you guys on what the best way to dispose of the material from there is. We have a very strong relationship with the second largest mulch distributor in the country. They have intermodal contracts, railroads, everything else, and they sell mulch from coast to coast. And so I may be able to get with them and talk to them about getting this material, because they can actually turn it into a resourceable product that they sell to Lowe's and Home Depot and all these different facilities for resale. So I'll reach out to them. It's going to depend on volume as to whether or not they're going to want to get involved. But I'd be happy to consult in any manner with respect to that, so that you guys know what you're going to be doing long term with it.
So I think at this point, most ideally would be to connect him with Katie and Max and maybe.
Probably Amy also.
Yeah, and just help them understand what it is that we need help with. Like, where are we right now, and what is our goals? And then maybe you could provide us with a hard and fast proposal that we can seriously consider, because like I said, this is not something we normally do. But in this case, I feel that it's appropriate and needed to do something for our constituency, namely around the lakes. I don't know that we're going any further than the most impacted area, which would be anywhere from like Goose Lake across to Blue Lake, right? But
for what it's worth, what we provide our customers and the service that we provide for the material we put out, if it's something that's outside of an incorporated area or an area where you guys would normally haul, we're actually going to pay to go back and get that material ourselves, because we won't leave it with the homeowner. Now, but we didn't do every job and haul every piece of material, but we'll be doing some hauling out here that we're paying for as well. That's outside of what you guys are going to do within the lakes and whatnot. So.
Yep. Well, we appreciate you being here today. And if do you have business cards with you? Or?
I can. He does have all the contact info. We took a tree out that was we're gonna fall either on his house or his neighbor's house within an hour or two.
Yeah.
And we reached up there with one of those machines we have and took the top out, and he is seeing our capability on dozens of his neighbors' properties. And I appreciate y'all's time and the opportunity
Sure.
to speak with you today, so.
So we'll
Thanks.
just get you as contact information. Maybe you can get Max to go out with him and give him like a clear vision.
Well, I'm at your disposal. Anything I can do to assist, please, I'll help however we can.
Sure, thank you.
Thanks, Justin.
Anything else? Commissioner Schrumpf,
Nothing.
Commissioner Basinger?
Nothing.
And I have nothing to add. So at this time, I will adjourn the meeting. Me too. Oh, yeah.
These are the